welcome to today's video. Today's video, I've got a question that I keep asking myself over these last few weeks, just keep going over it in my head. And the question is the Nikon Zf the best camera that I've ever owned? Now, for those of you that know, I shoot with the Canon R6 professionally, which is a phenomenal camera. Got the Canon R6ii, Nikon Zf. But for me, I keep asking myself, is the Nikon the best camera that I've ever used? Now, I do photography professionally. I specialise in weddings and I do commercial work for both photos and video. But lately I keep sort of coming back to the same question of, is the Nikon Zf the best camera that I've ever used? Now, underneath its retro styling body, has a very cool retro style look, but underneath the hood, this camera is absolutely incredible specs wise. It has some absolutely amazing specs, but for me personally, for those photographers that watch this channel, some of you that do this professionally, they make their living from it. I personally make my own living from photography, so sometimes it does come to a point where you actually sort of fall into a sort of a dip where it does feel like work. Now, photography is obviously an art form. I do it professionally day in, day out, whether that's everyday shooting, just going shooting for myself to make some artwork, or whether I'm doing professional work for a client. But if I am doing professional work for a client, sometimes it can feel like it is a job. Now, this sometimes does impact my sort of everyday shooting. I do fall into a sort of lull of it feels like a job, maybe fall out of love for it. But I've got to say, since I've owned the Nikon, I've got to say that this camera has reinvigorated me in photography and film. I don't use it personally for film. I have done a couple of reels and stuff where I do some cinematic sequences with this camera, but I got to ask myself, is this the best camera that I've ever used? Now, you could argue that the Canon R6 sort of beats this camera, but does it really? Because this camera under the hood, as I mentioned, does have some absolutely incredible specs. It's a cool looking camera, but for me, the biggest thing about this camera is it's made me fall back in love with photography. It's made me want to get up every day and shoot. It's making me think every day, what can I go and shoot? What can I do? Can I go shoot something, whether it's in the garden? Can I go somewhere? Can I just go somewhere to take pictures? And that for me is the biggest reason that I just love this camera. But in terms of it being the best camera, I think if it isn't the best camera, it's definitely up there in my top 3 of the best cameras that I've ever used. But the impact this camera's had, like I said, is massive. It's made me fall in love with photography again. I shoot pretty much every day, whether, like I said, it's commercial or whether it's for myself. It does sort of ebb and flow. Sometimes you do feel a bit inundated with all the editing that you've got to do when you do this professionally, or even if you are saturated in it as your hobby, it does sometimes come a little bit mundane, if you like. It comes like a normal 9 to 5, but when you do fall into that, I always say that just sometimes you've just got to go out, change your routine, change your surroundings, shoot something that you've always wanted to shoot, ask yourself what it is that you want to shoot, and just go out and do it, because you'll re-get the spark. You'll just reignite the spark will come back. And it is perfectly normal. It's nothing wrong with photography to have ebbs and flows, ups and downs, peaks and troughs. When you do get those moments where you do feel in a bit of a dip, it is essential that you just go out, keep shooting. Sometimes you do need a break. Every now and then I sort of do take a week out where I don't involve myself with cameras in any shape or form. But I've got to say, the Nikon for me has just reinvigorated the spark and my love for photography. So if it comes down to specs of this camera winning the best camera I ever owned, it certainly is in the top 2. Highly powerful camera. Don't be fooled by its retro looks, because inside of it, it does have some absolutely incredible specifications. 24.5 megapixel full frame CMOS sensor inside of this camera. You can push this thing to its absolute limits, which today I regret not doing this video at sunset, because obviously I'd get better photos, but hopefully we'll get some good shots. They're not going to be portfolio shots, but hopefully they'll complete the video. 5-axis image stabilization with up to 8 stops of stabilization in this camera, with both the physical and the electronic IBIS inside. incredible. So if you are shooting low sort of shutter speeds, you can do it handheld and probably get away with it. The camera itself is 710 grams, just the body alone. I've got the 40mm f2 lens, and that is just a small compact lens, plasticky lens, so nice and light, keeps the form factor down. But Nikon does specialize in some big heavy lenses, so you will add to that weight if you do get some high-end lenses from Nikon. 3.2-inch fully articulated touchscreen, which is handy. So if you are doing vlogging, that is very, very handy. This does have great video specs inside of it as well. I don't personally use it for that, have tried it, but I'm not going to use it for any video work. Does have an OLED viewfinder, absolutely incredible viewfinder, probably the best viewfinder I've used inside a mirrorless camera so far. 273 focus points inside the camera, so focus is always absolutely fantastic. The processor inside of it actually matches the Nikon's flagship Z9, which is amazing to think that this has the same processor inside of it and a very powerful sensor to mirror that with it. What else have we got? 4K, we do have 4K up to 60, but unfortunately it does come with that crop. So if you are using this for 4K slow motion at 60 frames per second, be aware that it does come with quite a significant crop inside the camera. It does 4K 30, I can't remember if it does have that crop inside 30, but I know it does in the 60 frames per second. Full HD up to 120 frames per second, so if you wanted to do some slow motion shots, you could, with a recording limit of 125 minutes, so you're never going to stop recording. And it's handy to know that if you are covering things like a wedding and doing ceremonies and speeches, you can just press record and you know it's got your back. Like I mentioned, great video specs, absolutely incredible photo specs, and it is one hell of a powerful camera. Like I said, on par, it is matched with Nikon's flagship Z9, which is amazing to think because this is a retro style camera. It is really cool to look at. It's solid built, really well built, feels good in the hand with the aftermarket grip on it. I've only got the one lens for it, but I'm hoping to introduce a couple more in the future, so I do sort of like the idea of the 50-1.2. Who knows, maybe I might spend some money and get that. But yep, incredible specs. But for me, the biggest thing is the fact that this camera makes me want to go out and shoot. This has reinvigorated me, as I mentioned at the start. I love photography again. Not that I fell out of love with it, but I did sort of sit in a dip for quite a while, where even if I wasn't shooting client work, I wasn't really going out shooting. But this has certainly changed that, and I can't thank the camera enough for that. So for me, I think, to be fair, I think this camera could actually be the best camera that I've ever used, really, and I'm really, really grateful that I've got it. I love shooting with it, love heading out with it every day, having it on my shoulder, whether it's out with the kids, out for the hike. I've always got the Nikon Zf close to hand, so I never miss them shots. But yeah, incredible camera. So going back to the question that I asked at the start of this video, which was, is the Nikon Zf the best camera that I've ever owned? And I've got to say, the more I ask myself the question, the more I keep coming up with the answer of yes. I do actually think this is the best camera that I've ever owned. It's worth its weight in gold. The feeling that it gives me is absolutely unmatched by any other camera. Now don't get me wrong, I do have absolutely incredible powerful cameras, such as the Canon R6 Mark II. That is my professional setup, and for me, the feeling of using that for professional gear feels amazing. Don't get me wrong, the workloads that I do with it, it absolutely annihilates everything, both photos and videos. As does the Nikon. You could use it professionally and you could use it every single day, and it will absolutely gobble up everything that you throw at it. But for me, the Canon R6, it just feels like a work tool. That's the thing with it. So I never really, don't get me wrong, I enjoy using it, but it's not got this sort of passion inside of me to just go out and grab that camera and use it every single day, because it is so associated with being my work gear. Not putting the Canon down in any way, but the Nikon just makes me sort of fall in love with photography again. I just feel the passion, the spark for it, which is absolutely unmatched by any other camera that I've had. So the Nikon, it's a big thumbs up for me, both specification wise and actually the feeling that the camera gives me itself. I've connected with quite a lot of people in the comment section of YouTube from across the pond in America, Canada, other places like Turkey. People have messaged, people bigging up the Nikon Zf, and I can only echo that, what they're saying, because the camera is absolutely amazing. So I got to say, the Nikon for me is the best camera that I've ever owned, so well done to Nikon for that. I look forward to many years shooting with the ZF, and I'm fully settled now on my everyday camera. My love is back, my passion is back, my spark is back for going out creating, be that through YouTube or just going out taking pictures of life, capturing life as it happens. I love having the Nikon in the hand to do that. So yeah, I think I've answered my own question. Is the Nikon the best camera that I've used? I think it is. Would like a Hasselblad though.